Am I the a-hole for giving my dad a list for his 50th birthday of all the times he made me miss my activities so his wife's kids wouldn't miss theirs? My dad turned 50 last week. His wife was on my 17 mail case to write a nice card and pick out a present for him. So I gave him the list I wrote to keep track of all the times he made me miss extracurricular activities so her kids wouldn't miss theirs. That was my present for him. I didn't even get a card or write in one. That was my gift to him. I knew it was going to piss him and his wife off, but I kept track of that stuff, and it has always bothered me because he became such a lazy dad to me when he started dating his wife. They asked me what the heck kind of milestone present that was, and I told them it was the gift of having his eyes open to the way he prioritized her kids over me. She told me it was so incredibly arrogant to keep a list like that and obsess over the times he did something to show her kids he cared. I told her he could have figured out a way to do nice things for both of us, but as soon as they met, he cared more about her and proving himself to her than he did about being a good dad. For background, my mom isn't around. Don't know why. My dad never gave me an answer about what happened to her. I only remember him though, and he met his wife when I was 7. They dated for years without living together. But starting all the way back then, he would get me kicked out of activities for no-shows because he said he'd take his wife's kids to theirs. And for some reason, he couldn't get all 3 of us to our activities. Dad had me in football from 5 to 7. I got kicked off the team after 6 no-shows without explanation. Each of those times was because he dropped her kids off at theirs and said he didn't have time to drop me off at mine. Then he had me in karate. I went for a month, and then he didn't take me for 2 months. They told him I couldn't go back if I wasn't going to be there every week because there was no way for me to learn. He signed me up for another football team, and the same thing happened. He didn't take me to one of the games and several practices, so I got kicked. I asked for art classes, and he said, "Sure, that'll keep you busy and out of my hair." I lasted 4 months in those classes, before several no-shows meant they told Dad I couldn't come back because I was missing important lessons. He signed me up for basketball. Same thing happened. I only went once though. Swimming was the same, and the last time I did get to go, he didn't pick me up on time. I got into dance classes when I was 14 and thought, this can work, I'll walk. But then he'd pick me up and say he'd drop me, but then he wouldn't. And I didn't get to connect with anyone to get to ride off their parents because I wasn't in dance long enough. Instead of being at something for me, I had to sit in the car or watch his wife's kids do their stuff. The kid he dropped off last is the one he stayed to watch or parked outside the activity of. And they had loads of activities. My dad and his wife only moved in together when I was 14, so he was doing all this for kids he didn't live with and screwing me over in the process. Then he refused to pay for anything because he decided to take over paying for his wife's kids. I hold it against him. And yeah, I tried to talk to him in a calm and mature way, but he brushed me off, so I resented him more for it. I told his wife when she whined at me for my attitude, and she was like, "So what?" That told me all I needed to know. But the birthday thing, I gave him the list and they made a big deal out of it. But instead of giving me the cold shoulder, they decided to bring it up multiple times since, and they've complained so much that I'm tired of hearing it. I told them I didn't care about my dad's birthday or his feelings because he won't confront that he didn't deserve anything from me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, I'm sorry OP. This sounds heartbreaking. Your father is incredibly selfish. If you haven't already started, please start saving money to move out once you turn 18. I don't think your father will support you financially looking at a streak. I started saving when I turned 16. I wanted to be able to get the heck out at 18 and knew I needed money to stand a chance. Make sure that money's safe and somewhere they don't know about. It's in a bank account he doesn't know about. That is a very smart move. If you didn't, he would probably use your money on her kids. He'd use the money on her kids, or to make me pay him back for the stuff he signed me up for since I got kicked out of them all. Might not have been my fault, but it still happened. Next story. Am I the a-hole for never inviting my stepsister to my paternal grandparents' house when I know they make the most of their time with me and my brother? My family is blended. My mom has me, 16 female, and my brother, 19 male. My stepdad has my 3 stepbrothers, 17, 12, and 11, and my 15-year-old stepsister. My mom and stepdad were both widowed when they met. I was 3 when my dad died, and my brother was 6. We were 6 and 9 when mom remarried. My mom and dad's family never got along, and when she started dating my stepdad, she tried to cut us off from our dad's whole family, which forced my grandparents to fight for grandparents' rights, and they won 3 days a month of visitation. The visitation has always been a touchy subject with my mom and stepdad. They don't like that we have access to a whole bunch of family who only included me and my brother. It was worse when my grandma and aunts would take me and my girl cousins out for girly days. My stepsister started getting jealous because we're not close anyway, and then I was doing girly stuff she always wanted to do with me with others. I just never wanted to do girly stuff with her. She had no real sisters either, so she got tired of it being mostly boys. And I always loved having a brother, so I didn't miss the sister stuff like she did. Our grandparents, and dad's side in general, did other stuff with us. Trips to the beach, taking us to nice restaurants, amusement parks, and other fun stuff. They bought us stuff too, but mostly they focused on taking us places or on experiences. We never invited our step-siblings, and my stepsister wanted to be invited a lot, mostly to the girly stuff times. But in general, she wanted to be included, and I never wanted to include her. My mom would bring it up to me when my stepsister wasn't around, and she would show her frustration when I didn't change my mind or invite her next time. Last week, my mom got so mad over it for the first time. My stepsister asked me why I never invite her to my grandparents, so we can do girly stuff with my grandma, aunts, and cousins. And I told her because I don't want to. My mom was furious, and she told me never inviting her is a huge problem, when I know how much she wants to do that stuff. She told me I don't do it any other time, so I should invite her for that reason alone. That I should want to make my sister, instead of stepsister, which is what I always say she is, happy, and I shouldn't make this a bigger source of rejection for her, but I could never manage that. She said it's cruel to know someone wants to be included and to never include them. Am I the a-hole? Tell your mom that it's her and her husband's fault. They're the reason the grandparents have only a few days of visitations. They are the reason for how things are. If she wants her stepdaughter to do girly stuff, then she can do it with her. Tell your mom your stepsister has 2 sets of extended family to treat her to things, both her bio parents' families plus your mom's family. That makes 3. She's not entitled to unrelated people giving her even more. Your mom and stepdad are simply cheap and lazy, asking you and your family to do things with their kids. I'm confused by this. Your mother, who didn't want your grandparents in your life in the first place, now expects you to include her stepdaughter when you do things with them. Makes no sense. I know, but my mom is like, well, if they do it with you, she should be included when she wants to be. Why can't your mom do all the girly stuff with her if she cares so much? It's not your responsibility even if you are biological sisters, and your paternal family has no connection to your stepsister at all. Because she wants me to do what my stepsister wants, and give her the chance to do it with me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for rejecting the names my stepdaughter suggested for my son because my husband and I know they're from her mom? My husband has an 11-year-old daughter, Luna, with his ex, Paige. There was DV in my husband's relationship with Paige, and he filed a police report when he finally worked up the courage to leave when Luna was 10 months old. No charges ever came to pass from the report, but his injuries were documented at the hospital at the time. Because no charges were pressed when it came to custody of Luna, a judge ordered 50-50 and didn't agree that Paige should lose any time with Luna over accusations such as those. I met my husband when Luna was 4, and I met her just before she turned 6. I knew going into our relationship that Paige was using Luna to try and control my husband. He didn't allow it, and he is so good at keeping all contact through the parenting app and not engaging in drama. But sometimes Luna will come out with demands from her mom and say that if my husband loved her, or if he wanted her to be happy, he'd do something. These can be things like spending the night at Paige's house or having family days with the 3 of them. It's not simple to navigate, but my husband maintains firm boundaries and has Luna in therapy. He's had some tough conversations with her about her requests for him and Paige to spend time together and that they will not happen. My husband and I are expecting a baby boy together. Luna has been very indifferent, bordering on negative about him. Then suddenly, a few weeks ago, she told us she had name ideas for her brother. All the names sounded like they were from her mom. Her mom named Luna, not her real name, after a character in a franchise she loves. The boy names Luna suggested were all from that same franchise. The franchise isn't Harry Potter, but they were as obvious as Harry, Ron, and Draco as boy names would be. Then my husband saw messages between Luna and Paige, where Paige was encouraging Luna to push the names and say she wouldn't love the baby if she couldn't name him, which she actually said. He saw these because Luna left the app Paige open on the family PC when she rushed outside to be with her BFF. So we said no to using any of the names. We told her we had a name in mind already. Technically two, but it's definitely between those. Luna said we shouldn't expect her to love the baby then, and stormed off. She told my husband's parents about it, and they were mad at us for not doing everything to get her excited for her brother. They asked why I wouldn't tell my husband it doesn't matter who came up with the names first, because Luna should feel included. I told them it only feeds Paige's want for control, and our son's name is not being decided by the woman who assaulted their son. They told my husband he was being dumb, playing into Paige's hands, and alienating Luna in the process. I still disagree, and I don't want our son to be given a name we don't love. But I have some hesitations over this too, because Luna isn't Paige, and if she does want them for any reason, I wonder if saying no to them is pushing her away. It's so hard. Am I the a-hole? I'm sorry. What? Your husband's parents want you to let his ex, that assaulted him, be the one to name your child? Am I reading that right? How does that, in the name of the great Cthulhu, make a lick of sense? They say it's about letting Luna name him, but really it's Paige behind the whole thing, which is what we told them, but they brought it back around to Luna. Not the a-hole. Name your son something that you and your husband want. Ignore the outside noise. But I would have taken a pick of the convo for the courts to be able to understand the manipulation tactics that the kid deals with. Luna is going to need long-term therapy. My husband was able to get Luna therapy. He has shown proof of manipulation from Paige before, but it wasn't acted on by the judge. Once could be a one-off, but this helps show the judge that it's a pattern. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents and grandparents nobody invited them to see me get my award when they got jealous that I ignored them in favor of my boyfriend's parents? A few days ago, I, 17 female, won an art competition my school signed me up for, with my permission. One of the competition organizers came to my school to present the award to me, and a notice went up on my school's socials about it. My boyfriend's parents told me they'd be there and couldn't wait to celebrate with me afterward. It was huge for me because nobody ever comes to stuff like this for me, and it told me they actually cared about me and didn't just say nice things for my boyfriend's sake. He's also 17. After the presentation of the award was over and things went back to normal, I went to hug my boyfriend and his parents, and I enjoyed being celebrated. We went out for dinner after, and I felt so special. When I was still at school, I saw my parents and my maternal grandparents in the audience, but I didn't go over to them and didn't even look their way again when I saw them. They were jealous when I saw them again after I got home. My grandparents were still there too, and they and my parents asked me why I ignored them, and asked who I was with and why they were there and why I would leave with them instead of my own family. They asked me why I didn't tell them. They said they showed up to celebrate me and I celebrated with others instead. I told them nobody invited them, and they could take their jealousy and deal with it like they always said I had to, because I didn't owe them my attention for finally showing up. They told me the point was, they showed up, and I ignored them in favor of a random couple who showed up. I told them my boyfriend's parents had supported me more than them, and they actually told me they were coming and followed through. My parents said I was being disrespectful and not acting my age, and my grandparents said I should appreciate their time as they're getting older and it's not easy to fit everything in. It pissed me off, and I just walked away from them. Since I know background will be important here, but I knew this would be a kinda longer post, I wanted to write the current stuff first. So now for background. My family is blended. I have a younger sister, 14, who was born with several disabilities and medical issues. She was in the NICU for most of the first year of her life, and it was always touch and go whether she'd pull through. My parents and both their families always favored her and ignored me as a result. When anyone came over, they'd focus on my sister. They would bring her presents most times, even for a casual visit. Her birthday was a huge deal. She got presents on my birthday, and several times they brought something just for her and nothing for me on my birthday. Everyone fussed over her, and it killed me to be ignored. The little attention I got never felt loving. My parents could never find time for me. They could never find the money to put me into activities. They could never invest in my education or anything for me. None of my grandparents or aunts and uncles would make up for my parents' focus on my sister. I invited family members to school plays and stuff, and they were always busy. Nobody could come to any of the events my school hosted. My parents would never let me stay home those days either. They always said I'd be in their way. I always remember the time we made invitations for our school's music show. I was in first grade, and I made my parents, both sets of grandparents, and 2 of my aunts and uncles invites. None of them came, and they didn't even really read them. I found my parents' invite in the trash the next morning, and I cried. My mom found me crying and asked why I was making noise, and she told me I needed to lay off because she was stressed enough. I spoke up about my feelings a few times, and the answer I always got was that I was jealous, and my jealousy was for me to deal with because it was unreasonable. And I should be understanding and realize that my sister has needs that are more important than mine, and that their attention will always be hers first because nobody knows if she'll wake up tomorrow. Eventually, I stopped trying, and then I met my boyfriend's family last year. We started dating 2 years ago, and he introduced me to his family after we dated for a year. They were sweet, and I spent time with him, our friends, or his family most of my free time. I have a job too, but I stopped expecting or wanting my family to be there for me. It's why I never told them about my award. Am I the a-hole? What's good is that they'll soon get back wrapped up in themselves, and your sister and this incident will be forgotten about. Not the a-hole. I assume your parents don't know the boyfriend's parents? They don't know my boyfriend or his parents. I don't think they really know anything about my life anymore. Info. Where do you live and who do you live with? I live with my parents, but I'm moving out soon. Sounds like they think they can forget about the years of erasing you. Look up the glass child if you aren't already familiar. Not the a-hole. This is just another example of them thinking you should eat crap for everyone else's sake. I'm glad you found people who care more about you than your own crappy family. I'm sort of familiar from a movie about it. I can relate to a lot of that stuff because it's so like what I went through growing up. Even the parts where people wanted to act out for some attention I can relate to because any attention was better than none.